A bus full of passengers bound towards the capital city of Nepal is frequently halted by the roadblocks from the protesters demanding their own personal exigency. The solution devised is an elaborate plan to stage and decorate the bus as a marriage vehicle and get a hall pass to all these adversaries. These lines quite summarize the plot of the movie Highway. But wait, the movie is more than you think. Welcome to Nepali Flix Exposition, and in this video, we're gonna talk about this 2012 movie, Highway, an artery of relationships. This 2012 road movie is the first directorial feature of Deepak Roniar, a previous journalist, critic, and a director of many short features like Chaukat and Puja. Roniar has a deep understanding of the current affairs and the rudimentary Nepali cultures, which are reflected well in his past short movies as well. This movie proudly wears the tag of first Nepali feature movie to be selected and premiered in prestigious International Film Festival, which was 62nd Berlin Film Festival under Panorama Fictional Film section. However, the audiences here in Nepal simply dismissed this movie in theaters, and hence it became a big box office bomb commercially. Thing to be noted is this was the most important year in terms of reform of Nepali movies, as the path-breaking movie Loot was released the same year. And Highway was supposed to take the Nepali movie industry to another level, which it did in some parts, but the polarizing reactions from the audiences made the movie go unappreciated. So why did such critically acclaimed movie, which was selected in several international film festivals, nosedive at the box office? We shall discuss further.
बन्दहरूमा यो बिहेको गाडी चाहिँ जानु दिन्छ है तपाई बेहुली भनिदिनु पर्यो तपाई बेहुला भन्नु पर्यो है के भन्यो त्यस्तो
Highway consists of multiple stories which are bound together by a single passenger bus. The passengers, along with the people they individually know or are connected to them, are the protagonists of the movie. Each characters have their own motive to reach the destination, which is Kathmandu. One has to reach there to meet with his wife such that the potion he drank would still be effective, while another has to reach the valley to save her daughter's broken marriage. One has to reach to return back the money to their loved ones such that the moneylender doesn't go back into the dark hole of prostitution, while another has to reach Kathmandu to meet his lover partner whom he has known through internet. Whatever the individual motive may be, the most important part and their common motive is they have to reach Kathmandu at any cost. So if all the characters are protagonists, who is the antagonist then? Here, antagonist is the adversary, which comes in the form of constant road blockades or bunts in their way. We may see the characters on the bus to be different from each other, but only on close inspection we can see that they all are somehow connected to each other with some form of common string. Let me start to connect the dots starting from the bar dancing sequence. Here we can see four major characters of the movie in a single sequence. Kavita, the bar dancer, has her lover, the driver in the bus, who is returning back to KTM with money that she lended to him. Vishal is seen dancing with Dina Didi and has his love interest Pratik on the bus, with whom he has known through internet, and he is reaching here to meet him. Here, Vishal's friend Dina Didi and Kavita's daughter are being treated by a Dr. Ravindra Mishra, whose marriage is dangling like a thread, and his mother-in-law is coming to KTM to console her daughter and son-in-law. Abiral is also in the bar scene dancing with his friends, who is the fiancé of Pooja, who is en route to KTM for her marriage with him. Abiral accidentally hits a woman with his car, who is Radhika, Laura's wife, who is returning to KTM to meet her. That is how these all characters are connected to each other. The ill-fated bus journey brings all these characters together who are directly or indirectly affected by one character's decision and the delay of the bus. The complicated storylines are all tangled with each other. The use of jump cuts to show the abrupt switch of storylines was something very new for the audiences back then. These switches and multiple flashbacks with intertwined stories is what made the movie a tad bit complex to understand. The movie achieved the feat of on-location sounds and improvised dialogues by the actors themselves, made the movie more serious and rooted to reality. This technique is what BBC's radio drama Katha Mito Sarangi Ko was famous for, And Deepak Roniar had previously worked with BBC Media, so we can see where this idea came from. And what started as a method to practice inclusiveness to diversify the real characters who were from different parts of rural Nepal was being used in a movie, which was an achievement in itself. Through these 5 stories, director Roniar has pointed out many societal subjects altogether, like the problems of wife having an affair when their husbands are abroad, taboo subjects in the society like LGBTIQ issues, mental health, obsession over something, and condition of bar dancers. And all these hidden faces of society are brought to life by the characters in the movie. The taboo topics and marginalized groups are very well presented in the movie, which might be the first case of showcasing these groups seriously in big screens, while in previous Nepali movies they were represented caricaturously. There is also a hidden subtext in the movie which is metaphorically shown by the call failure or just lack of communication between the characters. Each and every character related to each other lacks this. The physical phone calls disconnected are just like their relationship which are being tossed due to their lack of communication between each other. Even the small subplot of the wedding band speaks volume and underlines many human characteristics in small screen time. When it comes to personal agenda, we humans can go every bit just to use others. The band never had any intention to reach Kathmandu, nor did they have any urgency to reach their destination. They were forcefully persuaded into helping the other passengers in the plan who had their personal agenda to reach the capital city. The last moment when the band are dispersed alone in the cold rain trying to find their way back home with every bit of energy left was heartbreaking to watch. Actually, the movie starts with the band boarding the bus on a hope to reach their destination, just like us audiences who are eager to see the journey of the passengers they are going to meet. But in the final scene, they are abandoned after the personal motives of the passengers were fulfilled, leaving them and us astray. They represent those gullible and naive citizens of our country who are constantly dispersed into separate parties just because they can't choose one influenced by the higher position than them. Not just the band, even the stories aren't fully sewed back and left halfway without any solid resolution. Will the Laure accept his wife after knowing that she had been cheating on him and even had a child? What will Pratik do now when he found out that the only motive to retaliate with his parents and reach Kathmandu is no more in the world? How will Aviral react when he has found out that Pooja never come to the wedding? Where did Pooja go? What would Kavita do now when she is going through monetary problem? Does she return to the dark hole of prostitution again? Will the old woman be able to console her daughter out of divorce? These unresolved resolutions feels like a sense of emptiness inside the audiences, which will keep them bugging for solid answers. This uncertain resolution certainly evoke a feeling of betrayal among the audiences who were expecting a closure to these stories. We can take this overall bus ride as a metaphor for representation of Nepal, which is driving into some state of peace with the ongoing civil war, with many conflicts along the way stopping it from reaching there. Inside it, there are people like us, the characters in the story form, different status, class, religion inside the passenger bus who have their own personal story to tell. A journey where we all people are traveling together. As per reception, there was polarizing reviews and thoughts about the movie. Some hailed it as the greatest achievement in organic Nepali narrative, while some simply dismissed by complaining it rather boring, complicated and jarring. In retrospection, I can assume why the movie didn't perform well in box office and had a polarizing opinion with the kind of audiences we had back then. Most people probably hated the movie due to its ambiguous and open ending. They were just not prepared for the upcoming revolution in cinema industry. Before Loot and Highway, all the stories were told in linear fashion and on point to point with a definitive ending. And before this, Nepali audiences were fed with a narrative that everything has to be resolved in a good conclusion, and at the end of the movie, everything has to be perfect. So, the ambiguous ending might have turned off many of the early viewers. Also, since the narrative story structure of the movie is in non-linear fashion, with constant jump cuts and flashbacks, audiences need to put their brains to rearrange the story in their brains to understand the movie. The story is not served on a platter to the audiences. Equal effort is required from the audiences to interweave the stories spread across the movie into one perspective. These new experiments in narrative might be the reason what audiences didn't quite relate to. Highway was the first crowd-funded Nepali movie, with the project backed up by the different supporters funding the movie through Kickstarter project, which was able to collect more than $33,000. Even though Highway was a failure at the box office, it was actually an essential movie to reform the narrative style of Nepali movies. The realistic approach to the craft of acting and dialogue on location was something different in our movie industry. We appreciate and laud Christopher Nolan for Memento, but when our director tries to present us with just an iota of similar non-linear narrative, even the knowledgeable audiences name the movie as a bore. I also remember people complaining over its bad editing. Well, it was not editing that was a problem. It was the inability of them to understand the jump cuts and the abrupt flashbacks. Yes, it was a tad tedious task of switching your head constantly to figure out on which character's territory we are upon. Besides this, the only problem I can see in the movie is the inability of audiences to grasp the complex narrative style. While saying this, the movie also had few errors, like in the continuity. Here we can see that the young Rai is sitting on a bus with a single-seater row. Actually, the whole bus is a double-seater. Apart from these small errors, the movie was completely fine. So I would also like to wish all the best to the director Deepak Ronian for his upcoming project The Sky is Mine, which is based in Tarai Protest and which has already bagged several grants in international film competitions. And I hope that the movie will pave another milestone in Nepali movie industry. Thank you for sticking till the end and watching the video. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you are new and share the video to the other cinephiles. Don't forget to smash that like button. It takes me a lot of time to come up with these kind of videos, so apologies for the subscriber for the late uploads. I will try to keep up with the videos more often with this brink of New Year 2021. Till then, stay safe, keep watching movies, and don't just love Nepali movies, but love good Nepali movies. Peace.